District babies are the best babies.
The district? The central?
Can we talk about the South End got the most culture?
And how we came up with the gigs dance?
But what Seattle really got the gigger team.
This is Seattle from the inside out.
From the inside out. What's good, Seattle? Welcome to our 5th episode of the Youth Insider Podcast from the Inside Out, sponsored by Southeast Network. Shout out to our guys in blue coats, Rainier Henderson. You know, you see him all the time.
Be safe, bro.
Today, we're here to talk about financial literacy and its effects on our community. And we have a very special guest with us today. You know, he's from the South End, grew up over here. You know, we're all familiar with him. And we have Elijah Lewis with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being
That's
here.
good. Now, before we get into financial literacy, do you want to give us like a brief, like, I don't know, like background on yourself, like where you grew up, you know, like the businesses that you own and, you know?
All right. So for those who don't know me, my name is Elijah Lewis. I am a young entrepreneur from the town, from Seattle, Washington. Grew up, born and raised in Seattle, but grew up in a lot of different areas. I know my mom, we had to go to a lot of different shelters and stuff like that too. And so, but she moved us out of Skyway to the east side and then Kent and all that other stuff too. So, but I actually graduated from Rainier Beach High School. So, you know, go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
You already know.
Come on, you know, Vikings since Dimmy days, right? But yeah, so about myself, I own 4 businesses. Heavenly Memorials is a funeral home. I've had a lot of passing in my family, friends. It's actually going on like 25 people in the last 4 years, which is just crazy for me personally. And just to be able to help some of those families be able to lay their loved ones to rest and not take advantage of their families and not just look at them as if they're just a client or, you know, but look at them as the actual individual and actually family and be able to like honor their family and their wants and needs too. So, you know, that's why I started Heavenly Memorials. Cleaning to the T is a equal employment opportunity cleaning company, commercial, residential cleaning company. And I offer a lot of community members, a lot of single mothers, employment opportunities so that they can get $20 an hour and above to be able to, you know, prepare financially for their family. And then they also get business coaching with Flourish Financial Group, which is a financial service firm, and it's all about financial coaching. So I've actually partnered with 6 financial coaches, community coaches in the area that have grown up in the area. So they actually have understanding of who the participants are and have successfully overcome some level of, you know, the struggle, some level of financial disparity, right? And they are able to bring their work to the community. And then last but not least, Ethereal Vision, which is an entertainment company on the rise coming up. I'm going to have pretty much the Craigslist of music in Seattle. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's important work because oftentimes, I mean, me just growing up in Seattle, you know, a lot of times, like I just hear people always talking about like, oh, this needs to be done in the community, that needs to be done in the community.
Crazy.
But like they never want to do it. So it's good to see like somebody not only from Seattle, but somebody young from Seattle, like stepping up and providing those services, not only like, you know, for your financial gain, but from the heart and for your community.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And then so to get into financial literacy, and you can talk about your background or not if you don't want to, but what is money to you?
What is money? Money is a tool to me, honestly. I think that people give it a little bit too much like power. I just heard somebody say the other day that money is the root to all evil. And I believe that people are the root to all evil. Because if you think about it, it's like the love of money. But you got to also think about like how people use money as like an advantage over others who don't necessarily have it. You know what I mean? And so money is a tool that we've, you know, we say that we've came up and we've grown to, you know, civilized, right? A civilized tool to be able to barter, right? But people are the thinking behind it, right? And so I think that we got to change the mindset of those individuals, or not even change the mindset. We might have to remove some of those individuals from their places and their positions in order to allow people to humble people and people who are able to give knowledge to those who need the resources and are willing to be able to, undeniably like stand for, being able to allow people to have the resources. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's my thoughts on money.
No, I feel it. Like, like people always say this quote too. Like Biggie once said, more money, more problems.
More problems.
But
absolutely.
then it's like, I feel like in our reality, and just speaking for myself, my reality, it's like less money, more problems.
So
because
yeah,
I don't know. That's my reality. I just want to go around the table and ask you guys like like what has money done for you, and then what has like the lack of money like denied you in terms of opportunity.
I think depending on a person, like I know a lot of people who say like don't grow up with any money. They value it like way more. They make that like their number one priority. Like people are like, as long as I got money, it's like I don't need nothing else. I don't need family. Like, and I'd be like, why is that a mindset? Because at the end of the day, how I think about it. I mean, some people, if they like build something, they can pass it on to their family. But at the same time, I'd rather have a family and be happy and be broke than like, have all this money and then have nobody. That's my mindset. And I feel like, money has provided a lot of opportunities for me to go places, get the things that I want. But like, most importantly, like, it just provides you with like food in your mouth and stuff like that. People just want it, say to just have it and even just like save it. Like maybe if you want to keep so much money in your bank account, put it and invest it in something, is my opinion. And also like, I don't know. Yeah, that's my view on it.
I say like, I don't know. I wouldn't say like money's the root to all evil, but like I've seen money break up families, friendships, relationships. Like especially in divorce, I think like majority of the time, just like financial reasons. Like and yeah, like I don't know. Money just it's important for sure. I would say more money, more problems than now I can't say it'd be more problems than if you didn't have no money at all, but like when you get money, like, people start to notice you. Even if you don't show, like you might have a nice house, but like I don't know, it's just and once you start getting too much money, you get too much attention, too much notoriety.
I think people you have to experience it for you to know what kind of problems it brings.
Yeah.
Like, of course, people who don't have money, they're going to be able to talk firsthand because they've experienced it. But like the people who do have money, they can say, more money, more problems, but we don't really know because we don't have all of what they have. So we can't really determine which is more, Yeah. But for me, I feel like money is, a tool. I don't care for money, but my drive is my family, and really I just want to I'm getting the bag for my family. So like it's not even for my own personal gain.
Come on.
It's for my family, like for them to be happy, because I could care less about money. It's really just me making that sacrifice for them to have everything they want. I don't ever want them to have to worry about the bills that they pay, or like I just want them to have everything pretty much. I feel like God uses me and where I'm at in my life to like, cause he knows I'm like capable and like I'm strong enough to keep going and, persevering through everything, all the trials and tribulations, everything that the world and life throws at you. You got to be built for that. And I feel like I'm being used to provide that extra support for my family.
Come on, sounded like your auntie, Miss Bethea. I swear.
Shout out to Titi Bird.
Come on now, come on. I swear she had that same talk with me one time.
From
She was
every one of my, aunts and uncles. My
your mom too.
Love her.
Yep.
Yes.
For
But
sure.
I mean, did you want to speak on that too, or?
Oh no, you can
okay.
just keep going if you want.
So I was gonna say, like, from my personal opinion on that, is just like I believe that yes, with more money does come different issues, different problems that you're gonna have to deal with. You know what I mean? But the lack of knowledge with those, with more money, you know what I mean? Because you gotta think about it. People win the lottery sometimes, right? All the time, there's somebody winning the lottery, right? And people will spend $100 million and like be broke again. But it's
Literally.
because of that lack of financial knowledge, right? You can't take somebody with no money and give them a whole bunch of money and then expect them to just know how to do everything. You know what I mean? They're still gonna make the same problems. And so really it starts out with the mindset, right? I think that money can just like really enhance issues that are already present, if that makes sense. So if you have more money, then of course there's going to be more problems if there's situations and issues that people don't know how to handle within themselves. But it all, I believe, it goes back to mental illnesses. You know what I mean? We all don't realize like depression, stress, you know what I mean? Anxiety, those are actually forms of mental illnesses that we all deal with on a regular daily basis, right? But when you get money, then it's like those issues become greater, you know what I mean? Or sometimes it's addiction, right? And it doesn't always have to be drug addiction. There's sex addiction, there's, food addiction and stuff like that. People might gain all this weight because they got all this money, but they used to be skinny back in the day, but they didn't have the resources to a lot of food like that. So now they're fat because they're,
taking
rich.
advantage
They're
of
taking
that.
advantage, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I've always heard this and I've always stayed true to myself is like, you can't let the money get ahead of yourself. You always got to remember who you are. You always got to stand on your own morals and your own values. And you'll always be good if you do that, because that means that money's not going to change you. You know what I mean? I've had a point where, I was making a whole bunch of money, you know what I mean? Had newest car and stuff like that. And then I came to a point where I had nothing as well. And so I've seen it from both angles, you know what I mean? And I've learned how to humble myself and learn how to navigate and not having to be flashy with your money too, because sometimes when you're flashy, people are looking at you like, okay, yep, that's the next come up. You know what I mean? But if you're willing to bring people in with you and be like, yeah, this is the next come up, you can come and join too. Some are going to follow, some aren't. But, the ones who follow are going to pay you homage and they're going to actually build with you and want to be there. You know what I mean? But you got to those are lessons that you have to learn over the process. It's not something that you just, you get money one day, you're successful, boom, it happens, and then boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? I think television kind of makes that, you know what I mean, like fictional to us,
Yeah. And I feel like for a lot of people, you should just I don't know. I would live within my means, honestly, because there's rich people who work for Microsoft who are worth, 7 figures, 6 figures, they will buy the biggest house to like say their salary is like, $800K a year. They buy an $800,000 house. And then your monthly, your mortgage and all that is like 30 racks or something. Like you're basically living paycheck to paycheck. Like you should live within your means and you still got to provide, say, for your family and all this other stuff. So I think, people do get ahead of themselves. Like they let money get ahead of themselves. And honestly, people just need like knowledge on money to know how to treat it, how to use it. And also a lot of people, I know like growing up, I've seen people like who have money and then there's other people who, just look at them and like, well, this is like my bank, basically. Like, their family, they come to them and ask them for money and just expect something out of them. And I don't know, I feel like that could cause a big toll on somebody as well. So, yeah.
My mom once told me that like the difference between like pretty much us and like rich people or whatever is that they have sorrow and we don't. There's more like drive and it just looks different. So like I just feel like people should never think that the grass is greener on the other side. If they don't really know like in depth what they go through.
Absolutely. You never know nobody's situation, and sometimes we want something that we don't have and then we don't value the things that we do have. You know what I mean? Earlier last year, or actually later last year, I went to Mexico and I was able to build a family house. I was able to be a part of that process. And at that time, I thought my situation was like the worst situation. You know what I mean? But then when I went down there and I seen literally houses made out of styrofoam, not being able to access drinking water, houses, foundations that were built on tires and clay. Like it was so, we went to the hood. If we went to Tijuana, I thought, I'm going to Mexico.
That really humbles you.
We went to Tijuana, man. It's just like, and then I was like, man, my life ain't that bad. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's all about perspective too. You can literally think that you're having the worst day of your life and somebody's literally going through 10 times, worse things than you. And they would have wished that they had the day that you had, but you're in your head, it's just the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's all about mindset.
Facts.
It's all, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, cause
You're
facts,
killing it.
growing up, my mom, she's, I would complain. I'm like, why can't I have this? Why can't I have that? You know, or I'm a really picky eater, so I would complain about eating. You know, people would be like, you're ungrateful. Like, I know, but I know I'm picky, but like, I feel like, you know, I was like really unappreciative of like the stuff. My mom would like show us videos growing up though. She's like, look, these people are going through this and you're over here complaining about your life. And I'm like, I don't want to look at that. Like, but then like, but she would like show me like kids that couldn't eat. And then like growing up, like I like realized like, you know, my mom, she like taught me all these things. Like I felt like I'm pretty lucky growing up. I got food in my mouth, clothes on my back. I'm living fine. And these people are, you know, struggling. And I feel like I have my struggles, but they're not struggles at all compared to like these people. And like, I don't know, it just always wanted, like kind of just made me always want to like give back and, you know, not really put my problems before anything else. So
Absolutely.
No, I feel that my mom's like the same way. She like growing up with me and my two brothers, especially me and my younger brother, because we're only 2 years apart. Like she just like, I don't know, she would just always teach us like, yeah, our situation might be bad in the moment, but it's like there's always somebody going through something worse. And then she would take it even like a step further to where it's like she'll be like, okay, this kid is struggling or this family's struggling, but we're gonna go help them with something. So like she always taught us that like no matter what we're going through, like we can always help somebody, or we can just, you know, just have like a good kind heart. And it's like going back to like mindset and perspective, I feel like our mindset and perspective on money has a lot to do with like our environment and who we're raised by. So growing up, who taught you about money, if anybody? Or like what influenced like kind of like your thinking around money?
I guess my mom, she taught me a little bit about money. You know, she taught me what she knew and the assets that she had. Which when you're learning from somebody who's struggling with money themselves is difficult. You know what I mean? Because now she's teaching me this, but she's showing me this. You know what I mean? And so I think that even though my mom taught me and told me about money and like, oh, my grandmother was a great person to talk about money because she actually built her own house and she, you know, her credit score was like an 850, you know, and so those type of things she taught me about credit. You know what I mean? But a lot of just learning from just different individuals who would say different things and actually like just soaking up a lot of game from a lot of different mentors and like different people really taught me a lot about money. And reading on it myself, you know, even when you're in the financial field, you have to actually go to school to get it. So I went to school and I actually learned how to be in the field that I am and be, you know, a financial professional as far as what I do. So that's something that taught me a lot too. I don't know if y'all know anything about life insurance or whatnot, but it's actually, or insurance in general. A lot of people don't know that life insurance is a financial institution, like a bank. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And so people don't realize that. And they like, I remember I've had people be like, oh, you're not a real financial professional and this and that. But it's like, no, we are financial professionals. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our, you know, our clients, just like everybody else does. And then we're actually literally keeping people's money in accounts and that, you know, sometimes it grows. It depends on which different accounts they are in. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, that really taught me. Like I remember when I was in the field, there's just like the bar, right? There's 100-question quiz that you have to pass in order to do it. And I never had taken a test like that. You know what I mean? So I had to study. I studied for like 60 hours straight, like just studying. And I remember I was just like, at first I wasn't getting it because it's like, this is a whole different language to me. Like literally, I'm from the streets, you know what I mean? So when you're coming from the streets and you have this type of mindset and everything else, none of these things really pertain to your life. So it's not the fact that it's like, oh, like I know a lot of people used to be like, oh, you're just dumb. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that I'm dumb. I'm just been trained and learned a whole different pathway. You know what I mean? Like you go on the streets, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? You probably go get finesse. You probably go get robbed. You know what I mean? But, you know, I know how to navigate in the street. And so it's like, but I had to learn how to navigate in the professional and the business world, which is a whole different game. And it's just as ruthless as the streets are. It's just professional ruthless. You know what I mean? We got this documentation. Exactly. So I remember I just personalized everything. I literally was like, okay, we're talking about, whole life policies, and we're talking about IULs and stuff like that. And I'm just like, all of that sounds like gibberish to me. But then I started to realize, okay, if this was for my mom, how would I set this up? What would be the guidelines that I want to put in perspective? And I learned everything verbatim. And then I took the quiz and I passed with over 70%. You know what I mean? So literally got over 70, questions right. And it's like the first time, man, I was just like, once I was like past that, I knew that everything was, possible for me at that point.
Growing up, like, who taught you about money?
Oh, so growing up, my mom taught me about money a lot, like the value of it, but not to value it so much because it is a tool. And like, I didn't really care about money growing up either. Like, she taught me to be like humble about it. Like if you did have money, cause my mom, she always saw it as like, say my mom, she had money and she would rather live in like a nice house with her family than buy all these materialistic things. I've never seen my mom with anything materialistic ever. And like, she just always put her money towards like her kids, like they, trying to make more money out of it. But for me, I don't know how. I think the media really messed with my head, like, because I became so materialistic. Like, I don't know. I just like really nice things. I was like, Mom, why don't you buy that handbag? Like, she's like, why would you spend this much money like on a handbag? I'm like, well, it's nice. I was like, it's good material, but I don't know. I just became like really materialistic, and I feel like the media took an effect on my mindset, and like I was like, I still need to like fix that because I would kind of make everything about money all the time and like how people would like see you, and I don't know. I think that's one of the things that a lot of youth especially mess up about, and why they value money so much, because when they do have money too, they just blow a bag on like designer stuff, and then what do you got now? Like nothing. Because I know when I was a kid, I would get money. I'm like, yep, I'm going to buy this nice thing because I seen a celebrity have it. And I don't know. My mindset was like really messed up about stuff like that. But I did grow up like, valuing it, even though I was taught like not to, because it is a tool and it should be used for like things that you actually need, and say maybe a vacation if like you can do that. But yeah. Also, the life insurance thing, I was always wondering, I was like, that's a scam, Mom. Why are you? Because she only started doing it when she had kids, just in case like something happened. So she like explained that to me a little more. She told me like it is like a bank. I was like, so you could, all this money you pay like every month or like say every year, you're just giving money to them, and they're the ones like they're investing your money that they give you or that you give them. And basically, like, say when you pass away, you get that same money that you put in back. Well, it goes to your family, basically. And I don't know. I didn't really get that. I was like, you might as well just put it in a bank and stuff, but banks do the same exact thing.
I was about to say,
banks do the same exact thing.
They do the same thing. And they give you less of a percent back, Yeah.
Facts. But I don't know. I couldn't understood it when she was like, just in case like something happens,
I also want to add on to your point too, so you have like a little bit better of an understanding. There's life insurance with living benefits. Every life insurance policy is not the same way.
Yeah.
Just because you got life insurance does not mean that you're balling. So there's term life insurance, which is like for a certain term, right? So that, I believe personally, is like the bottom of the totem pole. If you don't die within that 15 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Literally, if you don't die within that 15 years
what's the point?
or 20 years, then that money is gone, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes there's policies that you get it back. Sometimes you get it back, but you got to know what you're writing for, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the whole life. That's for your whole life, right? You put in a certain amount of money. If you start younger, it could be like $100 a month.
It's cheaper, yeah.
It's cheaper. But the thing about it is it gains income, it gains a cash value within it. So what they do is they put it into the stock markets, because these insurance companies have been around for hundreds of years, right? So they got old money, right? So they just know exactly how to invest their money. And so what they do is they invest a portion of your money in, they make what you're paying and more back, right? So that they can at least, they make what your death benefit is worth, right? And then they give you a 4% sometimes cash back on what your money is, right? So 4% every single year, but it caps at a certain amount. Then the ones that I like is the index universal life insurance policies with what I use, Fidelity Guaranteed, and it has a living benefit. So basically, if you have any type of sickness, and during this time, it's very important to know about this thing too, because the thing about it is with COVID, there's a lot of chronic illnesses that are happening, and people are actually getting COVID, and then they're getting sicker for longer than 30 days, right? And so if you're sicker for longer than 90 days, you can actually access your death benefit while you're alive. So it's like almost like you just won the lottery almost when you're alive, right? And then it also builds a cash value that you can actually utilize for your retirement as well for us youth. So that's one thing that I'll try to advocate for, because the thing about it is, as far as like our Social Security and stuff like that, they're trying to make it so we don't get it until we're 80 years old. With the Myra, they don't want us to retire until we're 80. They want us to work until we die. That's their game plan for us. So we have to be like, we have to know about these things so that we're not falling into their trap. And then, you know what I mean? At 80 years old, I'm over here 79 grinding like, man, where you been for the last 40 years? I've been at Walmart. I was working, have a nice day. But that's seriously, you think all these people who are like waving at you at Walmart, these older people, you're like, why is this grandma up here waving at me?
Right.
They save their money in things called 401ks and IRAs that were on the stock market, based on the stock market. The one thing about the IUL is it's not based on the stock market. It actually saves your money at a certain amount. So you never lose more than you put in, right? When the 401ks and the IRAs, when the stock market went down back in 2008 and it went back down in 2020, their retirements, some people lost all of their retirement, all of it. So imagine working 40 years and then losing everything that you work for. And then having to work at Walmart so that you can support your grandkids. That's crazy. You know what I mean? That's what's going on in America right now. Yeah. But nobody talks about that. Nobody puts it in perspective like that either. You know what I mean? They're just thinking, oh, this is a scam. I'm not going to pay into this. No, put it into perspective and like, okay, do you want to worry about it today and make sure that, boom, you're good for the rest of your life? Or do you want to worry about it when it matters the most at 60 years old and you need that retirement? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I'm more for. Set yourself up today.
You just educating me on that.
I know, I did right there. But see, it's quick though. You just take that and now you got it. You can go and you can teach it too. You know what I mean?
I know.
It don't take 3 classes to do it. Don't take, you know what I mean? You don't have to go to 8 years of college. Just get the game now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, the bottom, the totem that you was talking about. I was like, if you're not dying soon, why are you getting this? Why you got it if you're not gonna die soon?
Yeah. But you know, the reality is we don't know. Life is not promised. You know,
that's why I was like, should I get it? I wasn't sure.
Everybody should get it. Everybody should get it, especially if you're young. You know, even if it's like $50 a month, you could get like, $50 a month could get you like $300,000 of living benefits, life insurance that you can access while you're alive. Like, for example, is it okay to bring your trauma up or your situation? Okay, I just want to make sure. But when that happened to you, right, and you had gotten shot, you would be able to access up to 100% of that money right then and there. Could have put the money in your businesses. You can put it wherever you want because it's yours. You know what I mean? So if business owners, that's why I say it's business protection. So it literally protects your business if something were to happen to you. It's mortgage protection because it literally protects your mortgage, your car payment, your kids going to school. Say if you wanted to pay for, there's literally been some of our clients who have been able to pay for their children's weddings. That wasn't even an option before then. Pay off their houses and stuff with the money after they successfully fought off whatever they were dealing with, their cancer. So critical, chronic, and terminal illness, if you're diagnosed with one of those things, which means, and you can't perform the daily 6 activities to be able to go to work, then you can access it while you're alive.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And we got to pay to live and pay to die. That's
literally
crazy.
Pay to live, pay to die, pay to breathe.
No, that's crazy. For real.
Yep.
Dang.
Pay to sleep. It's called rent. For real.
And so as I was listening to like a lot of stuff like life insurance, 401k, IRA. So like for like people who don't know, like what is financial literacy and then what does it mean to be financially literate?
I would say financial knowledge. You know what I mean? Literacy is really just another word for knowledge, right? And so to be financially aware is what I would say financial literacy is, and be financially literate, It's just financially aware. And, I would hope that once you're financially aware, you make those decisions. But that's where it comes back to mindset, right? Because I work with a lot of different clients from the same streets that we live in. And it's like sometimes it's very hard for people to get out of that paradigm that they live in. You know what I mean? When you see your mom or you see your dad doing the same things over and over and over and over again, you make a subconscious decision, or sometimes it's a conscious decision, but sometimes it's subconscious. Like when you were saying about the materialism, right? Where we learn how to be consumers. They changed it in 1920. It was the Industrial Revolution. If you can actually look this up. And what they wanted us to be is workers, because before then everybody was an entrepreneur. Everybody was a shoemaker. They had their own farms. They had their own houses. They didn't need to rent. Why would you rent from somebody? Because there's all this land. You could, you know what I mean? Different cultures was different, but at least in America, people were getting land and owning stuff, owning their own houses and everything else. But what they did is they made it so that people wanted to work for big corporations and big factories, right? And so what they did is they started schools so they could, put propaganda into people's kids and minds to be a worker, right? So that's what they do now, is now they have in the school district, what do you learn about? You don't learn about financial literacy. You learn how to be a worker and a consumer, right? And they teach us to live off of, to be 100% in debt and to be 30% on card, right? Which is credit cards and stuff like that. So you're constantly still in debt, even if it's, people are living above their means, like you were saying. Gary Vee actually states that you should live below your means because you'll always have extra money saved around. And so, for example, when I was 18 years old, I had my own house. I was renting, right? But I had my own house. It's 3 bedrooms. I'm like, this is nice. I got a backyard, front yard, 2018 Nissan Sentra. But then boom, when my, because I had a roommate at the time, when the person decided to sell the house, right? So after all that time that I was paying rent, didn't go into equity, didn't go into nothing. That's gone. I was paying $2,000 a month. You know what I mean? For a whole year. Come on now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That could have been a mortgage payment.
That could have been a mortgage payment. I could have been paying my house down. You know what I mean? I could have had equity within that house. I could have sold that house for more. Then my car, right? At a 2018 Nissan Sentra or whatnot. And that was 2018 too. I'm over here, 0 mileage. Ain't never seen this before, all that, right? Got into a car accident. Still was paying off on the car because my gap insurance didn't cover everything, right? So it's like I'm paying $300 a month, don't have a car. Now I got to buy another car. And it's just like, that's why you always should set yourself up for success, right? And so the thing is, as a business owner, right, even your car is a business expense. Portion of your rent, business expense. Portion of your mortgage can be a business expense. I have it set up right now. I'm taking care of my uncle, right? So I actually don't have to pay rent. And I get paid for being there, right? So now I turn my liability into an asset. That's what people should do. All of your liabilities, whether it's buying yourself clothes, if you like to dress nice and stuff like that, like you were saying, make it a business for yourself to be able to dress nice and be able to buy all those nice clothes and have it as a business expense and not have to pay it within your taxes. You know what I mean? There's over 500 tax deductibles that if you know about, you can deduct out of your taxes. And that's how certain people who are wealthy do not have to pay a certain amount of taxes, right? And so the thing is, we don't know about these things. So we're out here, we're buying our nice gold chains and everything else, but we're spending that completely. We're paying taxes on top of that, right? Yeah. But the thing is, if you're an artist, this is a part of your brand. You have to look like this to be a part of this, game, right? So then it's a business expense, right? So that's where it's like, for the people who know, they get to use it and they get to advance within it. That's why I said it changed my life when I understood it and started to learn it, right? But the people who don't know, then they're a victim from it, right? So that's why you can see people who are very wealthy and they know about the game, they seem to be pretty good off, right? But then the ones who don't know about it, they're struggling, bankrupt, this, that, everything else, because they never really understood it.
Yep. Ooh, you just put us on some game. That's why, like, a lot of people be saving the receipts because they're like, oh, tax deductibles, But, growing up, though, like, I know when we moved out of our house, my mom sold it. My dad, he went to go live in an apartment, and then he lives there for, like, less than a year, I think. But my mom was like, why are you paying rent and, just putting it giving it to somebody else, and then like he eventually bought a house because he was always planning to.
Yeah.
But it was just like, you're dumb. You're giving it to somebody else. You're
Mhm.
letting somebody else get rich off of you when you
Literally.
could be a homeowner and just pay a mortgage, and then like when you sell that house, you can make money off of it too.
You can,
And
the
it's
day
just-
you buy that house, you could be
Literally.
making money off of it. You can make it
Literally.
into an investment property, turn it into a duplex. Say it's like a big old mansion, right? You can turn it into a full facility. The thing is
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't realize it, and you do that with credit.
Yeah.
So that's why credit is so important, because you could start your credit at 16 years old. Some
Facts.
people in certain communities start their credit as soon as their babies are born. They start their credit, right? So by the time they are 18 years old, they have an 850 credit score. They can buy a house with that, right? But you also have to have certain income verifications. So if you don't have a cosigner, right, like a mom and a dad who can cosign for you, then you have to have 2 years of income verification. You know what I mean? And so that's what's going to advance you to that next level where you're 18 years old, you just graduated high school, or you're 16 years old and you're still in high school, and now you have a house and now you have tenants.
Yeah.
These are things that we can be learning and we can be doing, but nobody does it because, or the wealthy do it. They do that all the time. And then you hear about it, you're like, what? What?
It's risky though, because people don't want their credit to get messed up.
They don't,
And that's the
yeah,
big thing.
Yeah,
That's also why people don't want to cosign. Like,
absolutely.
if I was like, Mom, let me go buy a house today. I'm 18, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, help me cosign. She'll be like, heck no, that will mess up her credit. She might not be able to ever buy a house or take a loan out from a bank to build a house or something. Like, that's one of the things. There has to be trust. And like the person, you know, has to have consistent income.
Yep.
And that's the thing. When people turn 18, they're like, let me start my credit. I'm gonna go get a car and because I was like, Mom, I just like got another car, so I was like, Mom, should I, you know, build my credit and just do like payments and stuff? And you could like cosign. She's like, well, you have to pay this much in interest. Why would you want to, that's like a big scam.
Yeah.
Like to her, buying a car and then doing payments is a scam because they're literally getting so much money from you, all them interest rates and stuff. So, you know, I just like saved up and then I like paid in full because she's like, why would you do that? And on top of that, you still have to pay insurance too. So that's just already a lot.
Secured loans are something that I learned from actually the bank. And so what you can do is you basically go to the bank and say you start out with $100 and you say, I want to do a secured loan. You give them $100 and they take the $100 and they pay your loan. They say it's a loan, but they got the money and they're paying it every single month. So you don't have to worry about that, but it builds your credit. It literally built my credit in 6 months to 0 to 710 in 6 months. I was 18 years old. And that's how I was able to get my house at 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like those kind of steps are the things that our generation could be making at a young age. And the thing about it is just the knowledge and have to be consistent behind it. You know what I mean? Really determined, motivated, and not falling into these traps. But when you know about the traps, right? And you really understand, because a lot of times it's like, I don't want to worry about that. I'm just not going to worry about it because it's like, it might be a ticket where you're just like, okay, I got the ticket. I'm not going to think about it. And then a month later, okay, well, now you're supposed to show up in court. And then 2 months later, okay, now you have your license is suspended because you didn't show up in court. It's just, those are simple mistakes that young adults sometimes make because they don't see the real value of why should I go to court? You know what I mean? I didn't do that, so I'm not going to court. So that's why with my financial literacy classes, I have law, you know what I mean? So they can actually have a legal team behind them, professionals. It's called Legal Shield, right? $20 a month. Now you have a full lawyer. If anything happens in your life where you need a lawyer, you can call them up for $20 a month.
Oh, yeah.
It's affordable.
Yeah.
But see, people don't realize that. They think that, because a lot of lawyers charge 1,500 retainers. Our community can't cover that. So why does our community get ripped off? Because we don't understand that there's prepaid legal, or we don't understand why to get that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, that's just an extra bill. No. All these times we're getting discriminated against, all these times we're getting targeted, all these times we're getting, that's why King County Equity Now, I don't know if y'all know about that, but that's why I stand with it, because they're all about policy change. They're all about standing with community and standing with our issues and representing us as individuals. You know what I mean? And one thing that they're about to have their own institution to actually be able to train us up in policy and advocacy and those kind of lanes, so we can actually change our policies and we can actually change our realities. You know what I mean? So that we're no longer, just sheep in the system, And so, yeah.
So, question: do you see like a big disparity? I don't know if that's the word. Between like white people and then like minorities in
Heck
financial
yeah.
literacy.
Heck yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
So it's changing though, because there are 86% of Americans are in some type of debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting to a point where a lot of more people are getting into debt, and a lot more people, including white people, are consumers, right? And so they're not financially literate. But if you look at the wealth disparities just in Seattle alone, right now the middle class black folk are making 40 grand a year, right? Compared to the middle class white folk making over 100 grand a year in Seattle, right? And so this is the visual disparity that we're looking at, right? And so the thing about it that I don't feel like, and it goes down too. It's like I feel like the wider you look, the better your wealth goes. And it literally goes down because Hispanics are next. Then it goes to Native Americans, I believe, or it might go Native Americans, then Hispanics. Then it goes to Asian community, then it's white, right? And then Indian, I believe, is somewhere in there as well. So, but if you look at the communities, it's like the wider you are, the more, and that's just off of the racist system that has been built. You know what I mean? And the industrial system that has been literally created for us to fail, even though we've, as black folk, have built this nation. We built this city. You know what I mean? William Gross, he was one of the first black pioneers within the city. George Washington, the original George Washington that actually founded Washington, was actually black. And he couldn't go to Oregon because Oregon, you couldn't own land as a black man. So he actually made Washington his territory. And that's why we're here today. So I think that it's a lot of brainwashing. It's a lot of trying to rewrite history and not telling us because if you can lie to us, right, then we're going to believe what you say until we find out the facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So, getting into like financial literacy and like our community. So according to the U.S. Census Bureau, right, as of July 1st, 2019, blacks and African Americans made up 13.4% of the U.S. population. So the University of Georgia's article, Minority Markets Have 3.9 Trillion Buying Power, that's the title, states that the African Americans alone had $961 billion in buying power in 2010, which increased to 1.3 trillion in 2018. So since 2000, the African American market has increased by 114% in buying power. KFF.org, Kaiser Family Foundation, states that African Americans make up 22% of the poverty population, right behind Native Americans, who make up 24% of the poverty population. So how is that we as African Americans and other minorities make up a third of the minority spending power, yet we have the second highest population of poverty and minority, with the presence of only 13.4% in the United States? So my question is, like, given that and given these statistics and given that, like, it's saying that we're the poorest, but we also consume the most. What are 3 things youth and families in our communities, specifically South Seattle and South King County, can do right now in the next couple of years to, like, on their own to become financially literate and secure?
Community economics. That's what I'll say. When we come together as a conglomerate and buy black, then that's when we start to really build within each other, right? I heard a statistic say that it only takes 6 hours for the black dollar to leave the community. And when that happens, then we're not supporting black businesses. We have a whole bunch of black business owners, creative black businesses out here. But if you rock their sweater, or you rock their, and you're going to middle school, you're probably going to get gas because it's not name brand. It's not some white folks name, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. They've done so much brainwashing, and it started when we were, like I said, back in the 1920s. So we got a lot of time to like catch up on, right? But we have to get to a point where we start to understand the importance of buying black, the importance investing into your community, right? You see all these other communities come into where? The hood. Why do they come to the hood? Because we're the number one consumer of these products, right? So they come to the hood and they profit off of us. And we are just, I'm just going to go and I'm going to buy da-da-da-da. Then they don't even respect us. Because the thing is, what are they doing when we're in their stores? They're following us. They're saying we're stealing, yet we're the number one product and the reason why they're wealthy. But they don't want to give us that credit. They're shooting and killing us. You know what I mean? Some of them are. So it's like that kind of mindset has to be changed and say, okay, we're going to buy black. We're going to support black. You know what I mean? We're going to have our own, swap meets that we do. And we're going to all come to this swap meet and we're going to all invest into, our businesses, right? And so one thing I want to say is that's what Africatown is about, right? So I got associated with Africatown when I was 18 years old. Actually, one of my mentors, Jarrell Davis, connected me to White King Garrett. And that's when I really started to learn about why it's so important as the global African diaspora to come together. You know what I mean? And the reason why is because you can see in Africa what has happened. We got divided. Africa had no boundaries before a certain amount of time. And so we all got divided. And what happened when they divided us is they divided and conquered. That's what the oppressor's mindset is, right? So they colonize each and every nation. They get rid of the original heritage, the beliefs, the values, you know what I mean? Our thoughts, our natural thoughts. And they give us their oppressive mindsets, values, cultural beliefs, right? But they make sure that we're despaired from theirs as well. They don't give us all the game. They'll give us a little. That's why they didn't want us to read. They don't want us to, you know what I mean? Think for ourselves. They wanted us to be living off of master, right? And so the thing is when you leave from this mindset and you leave from this way of thinking and you start thinking for yourself and you start to understand, I don't need Nike. I don't need nothing of none of theirs. And I can buy my own. And the thing about it is when you realize that the Jordan shoe, even though it's $250, $1,000, it actually only costs $2 to make in a whole different country that might potentially be a sweat factory. And the person making that shoe ain't even getting 50 cents an hour. You know what I mean? That changes your perspective and that allows you to move differently. So the Africatown, what it's doing is creating a whole town for the African diaspora to come together and build together, right? And that's what King County Equity now is, making sure that the policies and advocating for our community, bringing in, one of the community-led Black organizations that is bringing in $17 million into the community and defunded the police for this, right? So that is what we're currently doing and a part of what we're doing to create that community economics and create that community policy change and advocacy.
All right. Thank you. And so as we're closing in on this episode, are there any do you have a last message, any last words you want to leave with the youth? Watching, my bad.
Man, no, you're good. You're
words
good,
before
right?
death.
I thought that was my last piece, my 2-piece. Okay. I'm just gonna say, just think for yourself. You know what I mean? Don't make your opinions based on what other people say and what you've seen on TV. You gotta really learn who you are as an individual first, right? And once you learn who you are as an individual without your friends and everything else, then you can move forward. You know what I mean? And one thing that I used is everything that I actually like to do, which was helping people. And really that's my main thing is I love to help people, right? I found different streams of industry and ways that I can sustain myself off of just helping people. You know what I mean? Doing what I like the best. Don't live your life based on other people's wants and needs. You'll never be happy. You got to live by your own needs and find your real purpose. You know what I mean? I believe that the way to be actually successful is living within your purpose. You know what I mean? And no matter how much money you're making, whether it's a lot or little, you'll always be happy because you're living within your purpose, not the job that you think fits you. If you can't find a job that fits you, make your own job. You know what I mean? And then have people work with you so you're not just a slave to your business. You know what I mean? And so that's what I want to leave with, people.
Well, you guys heard it here, make sure you know who you are as an individual and figure out how you want to walk amongst the world, which we do have an episode on. So
Coming next.
So how can people reach you or see your work, your Facebook, Instagram, whatever? How can they reach you?
Y'all can reach me on Facebook at Elijah L. Lewis. Instagram, Elijah L. Lewis 206, my Flourish Financial Group .services website, cleantothet.com. If you need a clean, you know what I mean? HeavenlyMemorials.org if somebody, lost. But yeah, man, you can reach me. But the main sources, I would say, Elijah L. Lewis, financial @gmail.com.
Got it.
Thank you.
Cool. And then do you have anything coming up?
I got a whole lot coming.
Stay tuned.
Whole lot. Yes. Stay tuned.
Sudie, how can I reach us?
at SRV Youth Insider on Instagram. Follow that. Stay updated. You could get the link to our YouTube videos of all of our podcast episodes. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thanks for educating us a lot, and also our viewers if they didn't know already.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
We're
thank you,
out.
Seattle.
Coming through.
Stay
No
group.
problem. Always for
We
the
out.
community. Come on.